Alright, everybody, welcome to the Tonto's Demise Week 5 recap. This was another interesting week. Things were all over the place. We had a couple matchups, not as many as last week, but we did have a few come down to Monday night. A little drama, just the way we like it, including myself, my matchup. Even though my chances were very slim going in, and it ended up being just as expected. But anyway, I don't think that there were any real significant injuries this week. Thank goodness. A couple things. I guess nobody. You must not have gotten to that. Nobody watched the review last week till the end. At least any of the guys from the podcast, because I guess we should start with this instead of end with it. And I said we're going to do this every single week. Brian, your team sucks. Your team is trash. Top to bottom, front to back, starting lineup, bench, up and down, you name it. Your whole team sucks. Everybody else, you're A-okay. Just hillbillies on PCP. Pure garbage. All right. We always start with the defending champion. And of course, this year, it is finally Possum Magic's turn in the spotlight. And this ended up being probably the matchup of the week, the best one we had. Slugfest back and forth. Ed pulling out the dowdle. Trying to dowdle Tree Sites, but the magic was too much to overcome as Possum Magic gets the victory. 209.25 to 185 even for Possum Magic. Plug and play Justin Fields. Why didn't I do that? 60 points this week. Cortland Sutton, Jacoby Myers, and the Olive. 18, 7, and 13, respectively. Derrick Henry goes for 9. Jonathan Taylor pops off for 3 more touchdowns. 31.5 points. Goddard doesn't do much, but he does catch a touchdown. Gets you 11. Diggs in the flex ended up being probably a big factor in this matchup because he looked like he was ready to play for the first time this year. Back in Buffalo. You didn't really have much else to put in your flex besides Torrey Horton, which would not have been terrible. You still would have won the matchup, but you really didn't have many. I don't think you had any other choices. But anyway, what do we got? Yeah, so Diggs goes for 25 points. Fairbairn, that handsome devil, he goes for almost 20 points from your kicker. And then Jacksonville's defense last night, they got a bink. I believe other than that, they gave up a ton of yards, a ton of points. They didn't do too much else. Besides give you a bonus for the bink and a bonus for winning the game. So you actually, instead of 9, you got 15 from your defense. I just want to say, I was watching that game last night. Am I crazy? Or did that guy who intercepted it and ran it 99 yards for the touchdown, it felt like he was running in slow motion. I can't believe no one caught him. He was not running that fast. At least it didn't seem like it. It felt really weird watching it. He looks like he's running. Why is nobody catching this guy? It just didn't look like he was running that fast. But anyway, what do we got? We got Ed Lager with his Herbert Keenan connection. No touchdowns between these guys this week. Perhaps a factor in the matchup. What do we got? Herbert goes for 37. Keenan goes for 11. Zay goes for 12. Devontae Smith, 19.5. Kamara, 9.5. Dowdle scores more than your quarterback. 37.4. Over 200 rushing yards. Tyler Warren goes for 14.5. James Cook, only 5. A disappointment here for you in that matchup. Jake Elliott goes for about 6, 5.5 or so. Then your Houston defense, even though they pitched a shutout, they didn't do maybe they did too much else here. Yahoo says 16. What do we got for you, Ed? 18 would be too much, so you must have got a 15-point bump to 31. Said no shutout this week, but they still did pretty good. Not much you can do when your opponent goes over 200 points, except have a better day. Really not much else you could have done. 185 is going to get you a victory more often than not, but just was not meant to be this week. You would have liked to see a little bit more said from your Herbert and Keenan connection, but they just weren't on the same line this week. But it's not too bad. We're only, it's only week 5. All right. And I should say here, not feel too bad here, Ed. Possum Magic with the victory and Ed Lager with the defeat. Both of you are now 3-2. However, Ed Lager remains ahead in the standings. 3rd place to Possum Magic's 4th place. All right, let's see what else. It came down to Monday night. I know that it was me and Gag, so we'll just go there, but it ended up not being very close. I think I had about a 12-point lead going into Monday night. Well, Gags, I had Travis Etienne left to go, and Gags had Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas, Kareem Hunt, and Brenton Strange, who I see is now on IR. Is that the short-term IR? It doesn't say. Quad issue. So probably he's out for a couple weeks. Let's see. I was one guy against 4 with a 12-point difference there. Etienne only got 8.5 points here, I see. Had a chance there. It wasn't till like the late 3rd quarter till Gags really pulled this one away with Kareem Hunt punching in 2 short touchdowns. After Thursday night, kind of knew this week was not meant to be. After the Rams got steamrolled by the 49ers backups. And then Etienne, beginning of this game, a couple of times, Jacksonville got down to like the goal line inside the 2 or 3 yard line. As you probably know, Trevor Lawrence, who the fuck is Trevor Wilson? Trevor Lawrence tried to jump over and fumbled the ball away from the 1 yard line. And then he threw a short pass to Parker Washington, I think, which helps nobody. Said once Etienne had these goal line opportunities, and once those didn't pan out, I knew that I was toast and just had to suffer through the rest of the game. Anyway, let's talk about the victor. Gags to riches. He gets it. Ends up being like a 24-point difference there, so thanks to Kareem Hunt punching in multiple touchdowns late in that game. 168.45 to 144.35. Jane Daniels goes for 34.5. Worthy goes for 11. Garrett Wilson, 19. Late garbage time touchdown for him. Brian Thomas goes for 12. Saquon, 18. Kareem Hunt ends up with about 18 also, thanks to his 2 touchdowns. Strange, only 3.2 before getting injured, and now he's on the IR. And Godwin in the flex, only 5.5 points, surprisingly, in what turned out to be a Seattle shootout. 38-35, but only 3 catches for 20 yards. For Godwin this week, kind of surprising there. Aubrey, kicker from Dallas, he gets about 7. And then the biggest factor here, the Saints defense gets a bink, has a bunch of turnovers. I think the actual score was 40 for them. So yeah, and my score for the Rams defense was right, so it was 40-4. So a 36-point difference. I think was that it? 12. Yeah, that must have been right. 40-4. So yeah, That was a huge factor in this matchup, defensive-wise. Otherwise, it wasn't that off up and down our lineups. But yeah, so they lost by, 24? So yeah, 36-point difference between our defenses was the really deciding factor in this matchup. For me, Drake May goes for 36.5. Puka goes for 24.5. Shakir gets 11. Iomanor only gets 4. Travion only gets 4.5. Gibbs goes for 16.5. Ferguson goes for 24. ETN in the flex only 8.8. Lutz goes for about 10. And again, played my Rams defense. Even if I played the Broncos defense, I don't think it would have made a difference. But yeah, Yahoo was right on this one. Only 4 points from my Rams defense, which was an ominous sign of things to come, and that's the way it turned out. All right, what have we got? With the victory, Gags moves to 3-2. Despite the winning record, he's still out of the play. He's right on the playoff, outside the door, looking in, on the doorstep, I should say. He's currently in 7th place, and the Wizard drops to 2-3 and down to 9th place. All right, what was the other? Anything else was I don't think anything else was close on Monday night, so we'll just go right down the line here. We got Biscuits and Porn versus Boomers Deep. Keeping it clean with the language here, guys. Trying to think. I don't think anybody Monday night. I don't think this one was. Boomers had Juju and Pacheco. Actually, he kind of had a shot at this one. Now that I see it, he only lost by 14. If Pacheco scores possibly both of those Kareem Hunt touchdowns, this matchup could go the other way. I believe the Mahomes pick 6. I believe that pass was being thrown to Juju at the 2 or 3 yard line there. Could have been a touchdown for him. But alas, it is what it is, as Gag's shirt will tell you. The shirt which is no more, I believe. But anyway, it lives on in our hearts and our minds. Biscuits and Porn gets the victory, 176.4 to 162.45. And I should add, despite 162.45 being a pretty decent score, everybody put up pretty decent scores this week. And that means, Zach, you were eliminated from the knockout pool this week with your 162. So sorry for your luck there. Double whammy. All right, what do we got for Biscuits? He's got Bo Nix going for 44. JSN 27. Ladd makes an appearance finally, 15 points. Wandale 8. Genty goes for 16. Tony Pollard 15. Mason Taylor, a plug and play, 9 catches in probably garbage time. I think the Dallas was blowing them out, the Jets there. 17.5 points. J.K. Dobbins goes for 15.5. Bates, the Lions kicker, nothing but PATs for him, 5 points. And then your Buffalo Bills defense, Yahoo says 10. Biscuits looks like, I don't think you had any Binks. I think they were both Saints. It was Shaheed and the Saints defense. Those were the only ones this week. So your defense score must have been 13, not 10. But it was enough to get past Boomers Deep this week. He's got Dak going in for 49 points. Justin Jefferson, just under 20. Cooper Kupp, just under 12. Get Juju, only 3.5. And Pacheco, only 8.5. You needed another 14 points combined from those two guys. Couldn't quite get you there, but they did have their opportunities. Another big factor in this matchup, didn't really notice this till just now, in Houston's blowout of Baltimore. Woody Marks, who had a big game last week, had 28 point performance last week. He, despite the Texans scoring 44 points this week, he does almost nothing. 2.5 points. So a big disappointment for you there, Zach, this week. McBride goes for 9. Another plucked tight end off the waiver wire. Theo Johnson, he goes for 2 touchdowns, gets you 21 points. Matt Gay gets about 9. And then the Detroit Lions defense for you, Yahoo says 19. Looks like, would 12 be too much? Yeah, 12 would be too much. So another 9 points to 28 for your defense. But yeah, this was a fairly close matchup. Said Juju and Pacheco couldn't quite bring it home for you. No Dubs, no DK, no Josh Jacobs. A lot of your big Packers defense. So Zach, a lot of your big guns were on the bench this week with their buys. So not much you could do. Probably mentally we're preparing yourself for a loss, but so there wasn't much you could do with this, having the bye week blues this week. Even Boswell, your kicker, your normal kicker, wasn't able to go. But yeah, it's a bad time, but good to get a lot of your bye weeks out of the way here going forward. That's the good news that your bye week. That's the only good news. Sorry here, Zach. Their bye weeks are pretty much out of the way. Biscuits and Porn with the victory. He moves up to 3-2. He is in 6th place. While Balls Deep. Now I gotta check mark the little box on YouTube that says this video is not made for kids because we got language in there. Because I consider all of you my children. Boomers Deep. So that was the only good news for you. You got knocked out of the knockout pool. You lost. You're 1-4. You are still in the basement in 12th place. Good news is, Zach, Detling's right down there with you. He hasn't abandoned you. He's staying down there with you. He went up against Darkwing Juggernaut. That's what Brian is probably going to start calling him pretty soon, just to jinx him. Darkwing Juggernaut. What do we got? Darkwing Jet gets the victory, cruises to victory this week. 201.45 to 166.15. All right, what do we got for Darkwing? He's got Tampa Bay Buccaneers all over the place, as we already know. And it was looking kind of sketchy for Darkwing Jet after benching Matthew Stafford Thursday night. Rolling a dice on either Stafford or Baker Mayfield. And it ends up not mattering at all because both the guys actually scored the exact same total. 62.45 for Baker Mayfield, just as Matthew Stafford. Why don't we just run right through your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Amika goes for 34. Sean Tucker, no Bucky this week, so you plugged him in. Unfortunately, only 3 points from him. And then McLaughlin, the kicker, went for about 13 or so points. So yeah, almost 100 points just from your Mayfield Egbuka stack. That's going to get you a victory more often than not. This matchup was off to a great start Thursday night with Kyron versus CMC. Let's not skip over, though. Don't forget about Tet. He goes for 13. And Marvin Harrison Jr. goes for about 14. Kyron went for 31. Like I said, CMC went for 28, though, too. That was a great Thursday night matchup there between the running backs. We said Tucker went for 3. Jawan Johnson, only 3.5. Travis Hunter was on Monday night, but didn't really matter what he did. It was just icing on top for Jut here. He went for 9.5 points. We said McLaughlin went for 13, and your Minnesota Vikings defense, they got the victory. Yahoo says 8. Looks like you got a 9-point bump to 17. And just getting you over, so Hunter just got you over the 200-point barrier on Monday night there. And so yeah, Darkwing gets the victory. What do we got for the not-so-tighty-whities? Tua, plug and play here. See how long that lasts for you. He goes for 52 points, though. These plug-and-play quarterbacks this week really panned out well this week. 52.5 points. Pittman, another touchdown. He goes for 15. Addison, a touchdown. Also 15. But another plug and play didn't quite work out. Isaiah Bond from Cleveland only goes for 5. David Montgomery passes for a touchdown, runs for a touchdown, gets you 19 points. Hunter Henry, only 2 catches, 6.5 points. Laporta catches a touchdown, goes for 20. Harrison Butker, only 4 PATs, nothing else. And then your Chargers defense gets stomped by the Washington Commanders here. You actually lost 6 points, I believe. Yes, Yahoo says 7, but I believe the Chargers' actual score on defense was 1 single point. All right. So, yeah, it ended up being almost a 35 point difference here. Good, solid performances from the quarterbacks. Really just for Detling, said Bond. Hunter Henry didn't do too much. Your defense let you down. But, yeah, it was that Mayfield-Egbuka stack that really swung this one in favor of Darkwing Jet. He's in first place. He's 4-1. While Not So Tidy Whitey's is in 11th place at 1-4. All right, what else do we got? We got this one kind of came down. It came down to Monday night. We had Disco versus Dub C. What was the difference here? I think, what did you say? Kelsey needed like 12 going in. What did it end up being the final difference here? About 8 points. So yeah, he must have needed like 11 or 12. From Dub C, from Travis Kelsey, Disco was finished. Dub C had Kelsey left to go, needed about 12 points from him, ended up getting 19. I think Kelsey got right up to got you real close there, and still in the first quarter with his touchdown catch, and then somewhere in the second quarter, I think he added on, pushed you over the top instead of making Disco suffer. So just get it out of the way, rip that Band-Aid off. Better just get it done instead of let it slow drip of waiting for your demise to happen. Anyway, Dub C gets the victory over Disco, 184.2 to 176.85. So yeah, great matchup here too. For Dub C, Jalen Hurts goes for his Hurts AJ Brown stack. Hurts for 45, but AJ only 9. Devontae goes for 14. Shaheed had a bink, which means he had 24.5. Jordan Mason, 12.5. Michael Carter, 18 points for him. Travis Kelsey ended up with 19. Javonte Williams just going crazy this year. Multiple touchdowns for him. 30 points this week. Dicker the kicker goes for about 6.5. And then your Eagles defense ended up losing to Denver. Yahoo says 5. Dub C looks like 8 might have been the actual score there for you. Actually, no, maybe that was correct because you had a bink from Shaheed. So yeah, that must have been the correct score, 5 from the Eagles defense. Just want to take a quick look here at Javonte Williams' game log. 20, 25, 12, 19, and 30 in the first 5 weeks. Gross. All right, then Disco, what do we got? Josh Allen, 43. Pickens gets a touchdown but doesn't do much else. He goes for 13.5. Jamar Chase, 2 touchdowns, just misses a bink, gets you 29 points. Jameson Williams, who's been kind of MIA this year, only 2 points from him. Ashan, another touchdown, he goes for 16.5. Brees goes for 20.5. Fannin goes for 11. Rashad White, with no Bucky this week, rushes for 2 touchdowns, gets you 23 points. LaLoop, Baltimore kicker, gets you about, he missed some stuff. He got you about 2 and only 2.5 points here. And the Cleveland defense, plug and play. Who else? You had the Chiefs defense. I don't know if that would have been, probably not. I don't know which one would have been better off. for you. Probably the Browns defense, but you would have liked to see a little bit more from them. Again, this matchup was pretty close. 8-point difference here. Not even. 7.5. So yeah, a lot of little things that could have gone differently. Jameson Williams said just really let you down most of the weeks this year. Otherwise, your kicker. What did your defense score end up being? 12, maybe probably 15 from your Browns defense. You would have liked to see a little bit more than that. But yeah, in a close matchup, all sorts of things. We could list a lot of things that could have gone differently, but they didn't. Just let's see. I bet if Kyle Pitts had played this week, this matchup would have gone differently. Let's see. Keon Coleman on the bench there wouldn't have made a difference. But I mean, you would have had to bench Jameson Williams for Keon. 8.3. If we add 8.3, Disco actually wins this matchup. If you had played Keon Coleman over Jameson Williams, but it's easy to just sit here and say that what you should have done now, in hindsight, doesn't matter. That's only rubbing salt in the wound, which I do not mean to do. All right, Dub C gets the victory. He goes to 3-2. He is in 5th place, while Disco drops to 2-3. He is down now in 8th place. All right, so what else do we got? We got Hillbillies versus Shawshank Athletics. This one kind of came down to Monday night. I believe Shawshank had Patrick Mahomes left to go, and Hillbillies was finished. I do believe, yeah. And you didn't need much from Patrick Mahomes to get the victory here. Was that your only? I think so. That was your only. You also had the Jacksonville kicker. So yeah, Shawshank, he must have been down like 20 points or so with Patrick Mahomes and Jacksonville kicker left to go. And this ends up, Mahomes goes for 61 points this week, and that ends up making this matchup not really close at all. Never really in question for Shawshank. 193.4 to Hillbillies, 141.7. All right, we said Mahomes went for 61. Debo goes for 23.5. Waddle goes for 23. Quentin Johnston, only 7. Kenneth Walker, 9.5 points. Scatabo goes for 14.5. Kincaid, 16.5. Bill Krosky Merritt, JCM, but he wants to be called Bill. He comes out, pops off out of nowhere, really, kinda, after the past few weeks. Over 100 yards, multiple touchdowns. He gets you 30 points. The Clit goes for 10 points or so, Jacksonville kicker. And Baltimore's defense, they got smashed by the Texans. Fortunately, it didn't cost you there. Josh, Yahoo says 2. I believe, yeah, we actually had to take points from you also for your defense, as we did the Tidy Whiteys. The actual score for Baltimore's defense this week, -1. -1, not 2, -1. But fortunately, I said 60 from Mahomes, 25, 50 from 2 of your receivers, 30 from Merritt. Enough to get past Hillbillies this week. His Goff Amon-Ra stack, not too bad here, 41 and 18. Nico goes for 16. Trey Tucker, 11. Hampton, though, one of the only most significant injuries probably this week that happened, which is going to be interesting to see how that plays out on the waiver wire later tonight. 13 points before I believe he has a sprained ankle, and he is now on the short-term IR, which is not what Brian needs. Because really, I guess you're probably gonna be playing Kenneth Gain. You're gonna be forced basically to be playing Kenneth Gainwell. You got Kendre Miller. He's kind of showed some flashes, but he hasn't really done a whole lot yet. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of tricky here. Brian, you did not need this at this time. Judkins goes for 17. Dalton Schultz goes with Bowers out. He goes for 11. R.J. Harvey, 6. Carlson, the kicker, goes for about 5. And then the Giants defense you went with this week, Yahoo says 6. Actually, you must have lost points too because your final score is less than what Yahoo says. It must have been only 3 points from your Giants defense this week. Didn't really matter. Said some bye week blues and some injuries this week for Hillbillies on PCP. Said several solid performances from Shawshank this week. Nearly getting 200 points is going to get you a victory way more often than not, as we've already said. And all right, we got Shawshank. He moves to 3-2. He is all the way up now in second place, while Hillbillies on PCP drops to 2-3, and he is in 10th place, right above Detling, right where Detling likes him to be, right on top. All right, is that every matchup? I think we got all 6. We got the defending champ, we got me, we got Biscuits, we got Darkwing, we got Dub C, and we got Shawshank there. So, yeah, that's everybody. Yeah, there's not too much else to talk about. It was some good matchups this week, some high scores. No, said Hampton getting a short-term injury there. We'll see what you're able to do this week going forward, Brian. So that does put you roster-wise in a bit of a tough spot. It's pretty slim pickings on the waiver wire. There's probably going to be a fab frenzy for the Chargers running backs. We'll see what happens there. Who gets what? As we said, Zach was eliminated from the knockout pool this week. We had all those 2-2s last week. What do we have? 8 of them. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the 8 teams that were 2-2 last week got victories. Right? No, that can't be right because who lost this week? Disco. No. Shawshank won. Ed lost. Sorry. So yeah. I'm losing track of the numbers here. Sorry, I'm tired. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the 8 2-2s got victories. Let's see. Let's take a quick peek forward at week 6. What do we got? So far, we've got the Wizard. I did not need this week. Really would have needed that win last week versus Gags, but he took out the garbage as he always does. Because this week I run into Darkwing Juggernaut. He's got no defense. He's got to pick up somebody. So we'll see what happens here. He's got some kind of tough matchups. So this is going to be a tough one. But in a week where I can't afford to go drop to 2-4. Really can't afford that this week. But nothing. You just got to play the game. All right. What else do we got here? These 3-2 teams. We got Biscuits versus Ed. Any others? We got Possum versus Shawshank. That should be a good one. We got bye weeks kicking in. What do we got? Zach versus Gags. Ed. So we got Ed and Biscuits. Disco versus Detling. Dub C versus Hillbillies. So yeah. Some tough matchups for, said, Detling and Zach trying to climb their way back to 500 out of the basement. Let's see, what teams are on bye this week? Only 2, Minnesota and Houston. So that's not too bad. So most teams should be fairly at full strength. So I think Zach will be missing Justin Jefferson again this week. So bye week problems here. But yeah, just looking at the matchups. We're getting into that middle stretch of the season. Some people starting to pull away. Some people starting to fade. But that's not what we want to see. We want to see a big muddled mess right in the middle of the standings here. So yeah, let's have some upsets. Let's get some people. Let's get some shuffle the standings a little bit and have some fun. All right, guys. I think that pretty much winds it down for week 5. Thanks for listening, watching, or whatever it is you do. No injuries. May all of our players meet or exceed expectations this week. Everybody has a good time, and we come back here next week to discuss what should be interesting events of week number 6. All right, guys. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.